what it do.
I hope I yelled in everyone's ears and they're like, oh my God.
They're like, oh, it sounds different.
Yes, I am not Pat, and that is not Chewie. That is Magenta, and I'm Ems.
I've even got the right brand of hat, actually. I made sure.
We're trying our best. We're repping the boys today. Yeah, we're gonna fill in this week for Pat and Chewie, so they're gonna have a little bit of a longer holiday. And yeah, and then we'll see how things go. Hopefully nothing, I was going to say goes on fire. That might not be the correct term to use.
Oh, yeah, don't say fire. Don't say fire.
How was your holidays, Magenta?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Like, honestly, the weather has been a little off and on here in Wellington. Good old climate change. But at least we don't have, like, the opposite problem of being, like, too dry and having droughts or anything like that. So, like, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, we're not doing too bad, actually. I feel the same, though. We've had some pretty sad summer weather as far as summer goes.
Been in your hoodies a lot?
Yes, actually, I have been in my pink buffer hoodie for just about every day straight. I tend to do that when I buy something new. I just wear it every day until it gets, like, progressively too dirty to wear anymore.
Yeah. I get that.
And then I'll swap to the next, like, jersey that I have. So I'm currently in my black one. I'm repping the boys.
You're right. I love that one.
Yeah, babe. It is covered in cat hair. I have a white cat, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was only so long I could keep it looking good. Hey, chat. How was your holidays? What did you get up to? Did you have better weather than us, or?
Hopefully y'all stayed safe. Well, at least it seems like people have stayed safe because they came back. So
that's true. That's true.
Although hot, yeah, I've heard in Auckland it's been quite muggy. Actually, I have heard there's been quite humid. That's the one thing I don't like about Auckland.
Yeah, no, I am the same. I think Auckland was the first place I actually experienced humidity. Really, I'm from the south, so muggy,
true, yeah. You guys have a dry heat.
I suppose we do have muggy because we get quite a lot of rain off the off Fiordland. So I suppose I probably did experience a little bit of muggy, but not so much that I'm like,
not like it can get up here.
Why am I sweating? Like,
I'm from the Bay of Plenty, especially Rotorua. Like Rotorua, because of the we're a basin. So, like, when the rain comes over, it locks in all of the steam, and it just gets really gross. It's not good.
Steam.
Not good. Yeah.
We've had our typical small talk. With the chat, we need to get ticked off the list. Awesome, done. Go. All right, let's get into it.
Right.
So obviously we've been away for a couple of weeks, so there's been a few things we've missed. In fact, probably a lot of things we've missed. So this we'll cover off probably the three biggest in my opinion over the last wee while. Obviously the last week's been dominated by the LA fires, which I think is actually quite important to talk about because there are some things that I've noticed are in parallel with us here in New Zealand and things that we probably need to think about. I mean, it's a climate change fueled event, so we probably should discuss some of the things. And then we'll come back to local news with obviously the gang patch law, which the 12-year-old that was pulled over for wearing a gang patch, which was not a gang patch, was a boxing club, I don't want to say insignia, but logo. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we all saw that coming. Like, no one's surprised about that, but it is really a shame. So have a look into that. And then obviously the Treaty Principles Bill, which was due last Tuesday, crashed Parliament servers, and now we've got an extension to tomorrow midnight, I believe. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't gone and done that, you can watch a replay of us. So you could stop
or just open it up in another tab, even.
Or do it while you watch us.
Yeah.
But do that if you missed out or you had crash issues with the
midday. Sorry, Chewie has corrected us. Midday.
Oh, midday. Thank you.
So actually, open the tab now. Midday. Just open it now, guys. Don't pretend you're gonna do it before lunch. Do it now.
Or do it at like 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no one up using it. Like, I will admit, I got mine in about 10 to midnight the day of, and it was crashing. It was crashing. I was starting to panic. But about 8 minutes to, it was like speedy as everyone gave up. So I was like, yes, I can get mine in. But I'm glad they extended it. So good on you, Justice Committee.
Getting an extension on your assignment.
Yeah. Typical Kiwis. No, it's good to see that they did that.
Wunderbar.
Right. Shall we do this? Let's get to the news. Let's jump right back into it. It's the 13th of January. Holidays are over. We're doing it. Yeah, LA fires. Pretty. Have you been watching much about it?
Yeah, well, I haven't watched much news over the holidays, but I have been watching, obviously, Philip DeFranco. I can't not watch him. So I've been watching a bit of that coverage. I did actually watch the One News today. I thought, why not? Go crazy.
The One News.
The One News. I went on and I actually watched like a whole episode. It was the first time I've done that in ages. And it's pretty crazy. Like, it's really sad to see, but...
Yeah, and I think it's getting a lot of coverage as well because I don't know if many people know this, but a lot of streamers and people in the media and entertainment industry as a whole, so not just Hollywood actors and that sort of thing, but streamers as well. There is a lot in the LA area. And writers, like everyone in the entertainment industry, including those online and streaming, tend to live in that area because that's where all the connections are. It's where all the events are. And so it makes sense to kind of live in that area. So we've heard a lot of people online sharing their personal experiences. YouTubers as well is another one. They tend to live in the LA area, or they move to the LA area eventually once they start to reach full-time status with entertainment. So one of the people I've been watching a lot is Hassan Piker, obviously. I'm a big fan of his. And he is an LA resident himself. I think he's been an LA resident for most, if not half of his life. I know he was in Texas for a while, but he's a local and he has shared quite a lot. In fact, he was even on so Fox News. Everyone knows Fox, right? And Fox News, and everyone's like, oh, conservative Fox News. There's also local versions of Fox as well. And Fox 11 have been doing something like a 72-hour or something live stream. In fact, I think it's just been full coverage day after day after day, like continual coverage through the night. And there is a journalist on there that managed to get him on, and he was talking. Hassan actually went and talked to some of the firefighters that were part of the imprisoned population, and it's kind of like a reintegration program, and they are currently fighting the fires. And so he went down and had a chat with them while they were having a bit of a break and shedding light on some of the other people that were helping fight the fires. But the reason that I want to cover this is because some of the things that they've been saying, and I guess a lot of the conversation around the event is, horrific as it is, and it is very much fueled by climate change, and it's really a disastrous happening event. There are some conversations that will continue after it that are actually quite reflective of what we should be concerned about here in New Zealand as well. So I'm going to throw up ye boy.
Don't throw up.
Ye boy. Because I think he certainly says it more eloquently than I do.
I mean, that's his job.
I mean, yeah, that also helps.
Yeah, I mean, dude, live streams for like what, 8 hours a day?
8 hours a day, every day. He is nuts. But I think he had some really interesting insights, which hopefully you guys can hear this. If this
situation has gotten completely out of control. That's my point. Yeah, the misconception here is that fire department funding would have stopped this. This is land management fuel issue. Even another 100 million probably wouldn't change anything. No, fire department funding also plays a role in land management, though. For example, I'll tell you this much, and I briefly covered this earlier, but it bears repeating. The fire department, for example, could communicate with neighborhoods like the Pacific Palisades on what the best practices are in terms of like harm mitigation, in terms of like the likelihood that this is a potential area of impact. They can go in ahead of time and make sure that certain types of trees, for example, are not so close to the houses, or clearing, making sure that there's like rigorous fire prevention, fuel prevention, in terms of like clearing out the dry brush out of your houses, things of that nature. Funding would help in that regard as well. This is a very complex situation where more funding does absolutely help, not just in prevention, but also in mitigation. But at the end of the day, if there are 100-mile winds that are carrying embers all over the place, then yeah, you're going to run into a problem regardless. You're going to run into these issues regardless. But funding always helps. That's the point. A resident who lives right by.
Yeah, funding always helps in fighting the fires. And he's right. And I think everyone knows that this is a firestorm, literally hurricane winds, which are they're common through the winter for these guys. I had to literally check when I heard this, and I was like, it's winter over there, right? This is summer, and they're in winter, and I was like, fires? Okay.
Yeah,
I literally had to double check.
Yeah.
So the Santa Ana winds are common through the winter, and that helps to move things along. And they typically get a lot more rain through the winter as well, which helps with their dry season. But they have had hardly, if any, water, and that compounding effect of not getting enough water each cycle has gotten to the point where they are susceptible to fires at this point. So pretty awful stuff. And Hassan made a really good point there, that funding definitely would have helped to mitigate a lot of it if they could have put some money into the mitigation, such as getting rid of the they call it the brush, basically the dry stuff that's just lying around that could go. It could they could have created a bit of a barrier or less fuel for the fire to keep the more structured areas, the neighborhoods, at a little bit less of a risk. And communication is another thing as well. So communicating to the neighbors how to clear out their debris, clear out the stuff that's fuel for the fire. And funnily enough, that's all back end stuff. That's non-essential stuff. That's the stuff that goes when your budgets get cut. Does that sound familiar at all, Magenta?
Yeah, I mean, it's always those jobs that everyone thinks are useless that end up really actually coming in clutch, eh? Like, and I mean, that's the thing is, like, I've been watching for Phil for years, and obviously he's in California. Like, this is not new. This is not nothing that hasn't been coming for a long time. They have been saying year after year that this is only getting more and more dangerous, and that these things are going to just, like, us greenies have been yelling about climate change and how it's going to affect us like this since before I became one. Like, this has just been going on for so long. And the fact that they're like, surprise Pikachu face. Oh no, it went bad. Oh, what a fucking surprise. Like, they've had the chance to do something. They chose not to make it a priority. They chose to let all of their fucking capitalistic bullshit, you know, I wonder how much of that water gets shipped into bottled water plants or random data centers, you know, like things that maybe aren't actually important compared to like not having your house burned down.
Yeah, as I say, cooling the AI machines that are overheating with their 100.
Right, like we can live without ChatGPT.
NVIDIA GPU boards.
Right, it's just it's just annoying because it's not anything new and not anything people haven't been wanting about for years, and it's just frustrating to see the results of decades of people trying to be like, stop this, please. Please, it's getting worse.
The really sad thing is actually, if you go back to sort of 2002, 2005, when this really started to come into sort of common vernacular, especially with the guy who ran for president, Al Gore.
Oh, good old Al Gore.
Kind of like the I want to say the flag bearer for it and getting it into mainstream. And
for sure.
if you go back and listen to the quotes from back that time, they could have been said today, and
Broken record
no
at
one
this point.
listened.
No.
Yeah, it's really sad. The second part to this that I think is actually so the first part is, if New Zealand does the same and we cut too much of that backroom stuff, I could very much see, especially in something like the not Defence Force, who
Maybe?
are the
I don't
people
know.
that keep
military?
us safe during disasters. Please, chat, help me out.
Emergency
It's on
civil defense.
civil defence.
There we go.
For example, if their budgets get cut quite a lot, we could see similar things happening.
Oh, I mean, we've already been seeing those issues in terms of the Gisborne floods. There's actually a lot of I know there's actually like proper impact statements that have been done by different councils describing, obviously, because a lot of Maori we were coastal, so a lot of our marae, like there are marae that have already disappeared and had to be moved, and because rising tides and all of these things have been just slowly eroding and taking them away.
Yeah. Speaking of structures and buildings, so this is the second part that I think is actually quite important to hear as well. So I was listening to some more news, which is run by Cody and Katie. Don't know their last names, but they're hilarious if you like a bit of very black humor, satire, craziness. But they do every week or so, they do a podcast where they just sort of have more of a chat as opposed to a scripted show. And I think this point is something that we should also listen to, because I think this is quite poignant to us as well.
This, like climate change and the increasing natural disasters and the increasing cost of the natural disasters, may influence how we think about like accruing wealth in this country, because for my whole life, for decades, it's been you aspire to own your home, you want to buy a house, you work toward that for years, and that's how, because that price goes up, that's how you accrue wealth. And if so many homes in the country become hard to insure, uninsurable, that's not going to be a way that people like get up into the middle class anymore.
Yeah, is it even the right? But I'll counter that, because I had this conversation last night too. Even if you choose to rent and use your money in different ways to save, invest, become one of those shareholders, I don't know, someone's got to be the landlord. You're renting from somebody, so somebody owns that house. So while I agree with that, this issue of insurance is ever present and very real, not just in California, everywhere. There are reports. I don't know. One of the things we want to talk about.
That's pretty much it. But they make a very good point. One of the things that has been, I think what she goes on to say here is whether or not it's misinformation, but a lot of the fire insurance that people had was cut not too many weeks before, because it was just way too expensive for insurance companies to cover, especially somewhere like LA, where you're looking at, on average, $2 million houses and up. And it's too much to insure that for things like, natural disasters, fires, which are common in the area.
Well, they're only getting more common, that's the problem.
Exactly. I mean, every summer it seems we've seen, Australia's the same pretty much every summer. I mean, ourselves the same. We've had pretty much every summer we have a fire. I think currently the Coromandel, I think, is currently having a bit of a fire issue. I think it's the Coromandel. They're also having fires. So Canterbury, very commonly we have fires in this area as well, because it gets very dry. But
yeah. Well, I mean, there was a fire when I was down there.
Yeah, exactly. So they make a really good point, though. I think we will start to see some of those similar things happening, where disaster insurance or fire insurance, flood insurance, those sorts of things. I think we've already seen it. You can't really insure properties too close to the coastline that have been stated as coastal. Sorry, my brain's going too close to the coast. They're going to get
basically they're
eroded.
risk prone to all of that
Risk prone.
flooding, erosion,
Eroded.
tsunami,
Erosion.
all that fun shit.
Tsunami, I think, is one that you can't predict. So they typically are, I don't know, probably higher premiums. But certainly, if you're in an erosion zone, it's pretty much impossible to get insurance for some of those houses. So we're already seeing that. It wouldn't surprise me if fire's another one that gets up there as well.
Oh yeah, I mean,
to can it.
Absolutely. I know that Phil's been talking a bit about the issues around fire insurance at the moment recently. There's a lot of, I think they were trying to maybe potentially loosen up some things to try and expand it, because obviously with the emergency that's going on right now, they're kind of just doing, crap, sorry that we didn't let you have house insurance. Maybe we'll see if we can I don't know, do a little bit to seem like we're trying to help you, but yeah.
And this is coming back to the housing side of it. They're right. Like, what if our investments are tied up in our housing, which we're the same. It's not just America. We are the same. It's very common in the West to, expect the housing market to pay for your retirement or your home to be your retirement plan, essentially. What happens when that's not insurable? What happens when it burns down and you can't get a payout? Or what do you do? Is that a safe investment anymore? Is it worth owning your own home? But like Katie also says, someone's got to be the landlord. Someone has to rent that house to you.
And that's the thing is, people have to be willing to take the risk on them. They have to be willing to lose money, and that's what people tend to get a bit weird about. They're like, no, I must always be increasing my profits. I must never lose anything on this property ever.
Well, then, if that's the case, do you have greedy landlords, not going to say greedy, but landlords that essentially say, well, if I'm going to provide this service, then in order to mitigate, and try and get rid of the mortgage as fast as possible, they're going to hike up the rents perhaps, because that'll cover more of their house quicker, which perhaps if they decide to pull out of their investment earlier, they get a bit more of that money back. So I don't know. Do we just get rid of the private housing market? Is that what's going to happen? Are we just going to see a bunch of empty housing? Is it going to completely crash the market? I don't know.
To be fair, I think my main concern is just there's going to be a bunch of fucking rich people that are just going to pick up all of this cheap property and try to get their hands on it and gentrify harder. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, that is another option. Yeah, you're going to... something else that people have said is that there's a good chance that people are desperate to recoup their loss, could just take whatever payout. Instead of waiting for insurance or the government to pay them out, they could just take, a property developer, for example, who's got a couple million to take your lot and to build whatever they want on it, and they've got the cash to be able to pay you out. So it basically take advantage of people that are desperate. So I don't know what will come of this, but I can tell you now that there is billions and billions of dollars that's going to be, we're talking multi-million-dollar houses. Paris Hilton, for example, lost her house.
Oh, did you? I haven't bothered learning about what celebrity lost their house, because I'm like,
no,
sucks, I guess.
To be fair, they are the people that are not the ones that are going to be majorly affected by this.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like,
they probably have another house somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One house burnt down. I'm sure you're.
And they're also probably in a position where that wasn't their only investment. Like that one house perhaps could have been paid, probably already been paid off, or I don't know. But they're not the ones that are going to miss. Like,
the people I care about are the ones who have lost their life. They may even end up, like the amount of people who are going to end up likely losing their jobs, their homes, family. Like, this is going to set off a bunch of mental health issues in the community, because how do you come back from something like this without a bit of trauma, Like, it's pretty sad.
She's a hotel heiress. I think her accommodation is sorted. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I know it's interesting, and that is very much an interesting narrative of like, oh, this celebrity lost their house and this celebrity. But I think if you want to look at it in a slightly more positive light, which I don't know if this is positive, but climate change does not discriminate. You can be the richest person and you can be the poorest person, and it will come for you. It, like, disasters happen just because you're, living next to a rich person doesn't mean the fire's not going to be like, oh, no, I'll go for this one instead. Like, it doesn't care.
But didn't Lexus
everyone
say
gets
that
affected by
he's
it.
rich and he's sorted? So that means that if there's any natural disasters, he's sorted,
Yeah,
right?
but he
counts.
does own a home in Wellington, right?
Oh, which one? Which house?
So if he's, I don't know, perhaps living in Wellington, he's also perhaps in the firing line of an earthquake. Much of the entirety of Wellington are in an earthquake-prone zone, and it's not unlikely that an earthquake will happen. And again, yeah, he's rich and he's sorted. He'll lose a house if that happens, perhaps, but he can pick up and he'll be fine. It's the person like yourself, Magenta, who doesn't
down the
actually
road.
own, down the road, doesn't own their home, is renting.
I also
if you
live on the
lost
side
the
of a
home-
hill, so like, the chances are like, what if it happens when I'm in the house? There's a few of us
Yeah.
that we'll all go down.
Yeah. So I think as far away as it is, I think we also need to be keeping our eyes out and also thinking about what this means for us, because this could affect us. Another thing similar could affect us, and I think we have to think about that. That's on my brain. Anything extra to add to it? Anything in chat that you want to
I will check up some of the
highlight?
chats. I've got a couple of super chats. This one from Kiwi Burb. Fox News is blaming lesbians for the fires in LA.
Yes.
Hell yeah. That's some Brian Tamaki shit right there.
So, to give context to that, the fire chief, I think it's the fire chief, I think that's what she's called, is just happens to be a lesbian, and she's doing a fantastic job, in my opinion, of dealing with this, and she's not holding back and being critical of the mayor who cut her spending. But she is a well-decorated firefighter, so and well qualified for the job for sure. So thanks, Fox.
I mean, they always try to blame the gays for natural disasters. We're used to it. It's fine.
I think it's
$5 from Mr. Arvids. We got Happy New Year. Also, F. Seymour doing my regulatory standards bill submission while listening. And yes, that's another one. If you've done your treaty principles bill, go and look up the RSV. Do it.
ASAP, because I'm pretty sure that's due tonight.
Yes, it is. Open it. Do it now.
So
there's also
don't
links.
delay on that one.
We have been given links, so no excuses.
Yes.
Go get amongst it, people. Also, this was just a funny comment from Wooming earlier. Tamaki is full of wind at the moment. Must be all the national MPs at home. Yeah, that's right. They would have all flocked back, hey? That makes sense.
Ah, yay.
And then this last little funny one from Simon. We can't really afford civil defense or firefighters. We really need that money for tax cut for landlords. And you know what? I can't believe we didn't think about the landlords. We really got to think about them more often.
I know. I mean, they're the ones that are like housing us, so it's really important.
Yeah. Like, we owe them our lives, remember? We should be thankful.
Yeah, we should be thankful that they're putting a roof over our head, right? And charging us incredibly large amounts of rent to pay off their very inexpensive house.
Yeah, it's great. Love it.
Anyway,
what's next? What's next?
Yes. Okay, back to local news. For now. Probably the biggest story, in my opinion, that happened over the break. That won't be a shock to anyone, was the 12-year-old boy who was pulled up for wearing a gang patch. Let's just have a listen. This sort of explains it. So let's have a listen to this. About 2 minutes. We'll listen to about 2 minutes of it.
Claims of police misuse of the new gang patch law. One News has been told a 12-year-old was detained by police on Christmas Day while walking in his neighbourhood. Officers confiscated the boxing club T-shirt he was wearing, which bore an insignia related to Black Power. Simon Mercer has this exclusive story.
On Christmas Day, 12-year-old MK was walking up this Auckland street to invite a friend over for a hangi. On the way, he noticed ambulance and police on the other side of the road. MK says police noticed his T-shirt.
So they walked towards me and they said, "Do you know that you're not allowed to wear that?"
This is the shirt in question. The logo is like Black Power's, and around it, the words Kia Kaha Boxing Club.
They said, but it has that fist. So they said it was our patch. And I said, "Nah, it's my boxing uniform."
MK's family called a senior club member who came down and asked police what had happened.
They said he's been arrested and he's been charged with displaying gang insignia, and that's why they're taking the T-shirt.
MK didn't want to lose the shirt.
It was mine and I got it for Christmas.
There are several Kia Kaha boxing clubs around the country. This one is here inside the Black Power marae in Mount Wellington, and it's been located here since 1995. But this particular branch of the Kia Kaha Boxing Club is based here in this marae, which is associated with Black Power. So can you see why some people might think it's all one and the same?
I can understand that.
But he says the boxing club stands on its own feet. Kids and adults train here, have won their share of trophies, and compete across the country. Here's a club member wearing the shirt during a junior competition a few years ago. Have you ever noticed anyone scared of your T-shirt when you've worn it?
No.
Has anyone ever come up to you and said, "Oh, please don't wear that T-shirt"?
No.
Did police get it right on Christmas Day?
No. It's a 12-year-old child by himself running to his friend's house with nobody else around in his own neighborhood where everybody knows him. You know, it wasn't the purpose of the law.
For this young boxer, the shirt is something to be proud of.
It's like the All Blacks, how they work hard and then they get their jersey and they can play.
But he says he won't wear it out again, fearing police will take it off him again.
How sad is that?
On Christmas Day? Like, what the hell?
I know.
What was it like? I'm trying to think. Like, what were the cops doing? Like, why would they go do something better with your time?
I mean, they supposedly were. They were responding to a medical, I think, event across the road, and he was sort of like, "Oh, I wonder what's happening." But he's a kid.
Also, like, if you're responding to a medical thing, like, you've got better
good
priorities.
deal with that. I don't know.
Bloody hell.
Like, he is a kid. He looks like a kid, and if he's like on his own.
Also, like, take 2 seconds and use your eyes to read. It literally is so obvious that it's not a gang patch. Does that say Black Power? No, it doesn't. And it wouldn't say Mongrel Mob because it's the wrong color. So, unless you're stupid.
What? No, I mean, they would know that, right? They have like a list, right? They're aware of what a gang patch is and which ones are gang patches and which ones are not, right?
I mean, all right, go start following around those Destiny Church guys. Go start following them around on Christmas.
Pretty sure they hang around in gangs and they're like 40-year-old men, not a 12-year-old kid.
They actually go around on like motorcycles wearing, you know, the same looking insignia. I think I know which one's going to look more like a gang. One little kid versus a bunch of grown men on motorcycles. I don't know. Like, bloody hell. Just.
I think will this child have a positive view of law enforcement going forward? I mean, he sounds pretty devastated by the whole thing. And I would be too. I mean, it's something that he's clearly proud of. It's something he's somewhat, I guess, earned in a way, you know, doing something which is positive for him. And
he's trying to literally just be another kid who's out there training, being focused and disciplined on a sport. Like, and this is why these things like the patch bans and all of the policies they went and changed last year were always going to target our rangatahi. They were always going to target them. And I mean, it's hard enough when you're a young brown boy, especially. to already be worried about the cops, already potentially have, negative feelings towards them and maybe even be standoffish. And like, how is this going to help that relationship? How is this going to help any young Maori or any young kid even feel like they're safe when they know that they could just get targeted because, like, yes, it is supposed to look like a gang patch. Because guess what? Humans are social creatures and we tend to go around in gangs. Whether it be a gang that sells drugs, whether it be a gang of people who go and play board games, like, that's just what we do. Like, and we also like to have things that show that we belong to something. That is something that helps us psychologically feel like we belong. It helps us have a sense of identity, be able to share that with others, be proud of that identity. And to then just go and make it a blanket like law that's just going to target people who are trying to do good things and feel a sense of community is just such a waste of time and police resources.
I think I found a gang patch. It's like it's a drawing, or it's like a logo in a circle, and it feels kind of gang patchy to me. I want to see what you think. What do we think?
Yeah, that's a gang. That's a straight up gang.
An image in a circle with some text. Oh, I don't know. It's feeling pretty gang patch to me. Oh, yeah, it's getting pretty close. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just,
I come from a design background. The design that he's wearing is pretty common when it comes to text and image, basically. Text and image and something that's recognizable. It is a very common way of displaying something like that, a logo like that. So we got to figure out which ones are the gang patches and which ones are not. And just because it looks like a game page doesn't mean that it is.
And just like Kiwi Burb said here for $2, thanks Act for Dumb on Crime legislation. Because yeah, it is dumb on crime. That is a perfect way to put it. And also Mr. Arvids for $5, missed out on a hangi. Now that's criminal. FTP. And you know what? I agree. Wholeheartedly.
Bloody hell. On Christmas. Oh,
I know, and that's the other thing too. It's like, really, on Christmas, like, of all the small quick rant, right? Last year when I went to the beach on Christmas, right? Me being the law-abiding citizen I hid my alcohol into a different vessel to make sure that it didn't look like I was drinking in public. I got to the beach, and there was just people with boxes open on the beach drinking, actually breaking the law on Christmas. Where were the police then? But no, they'll just go after some kid who's wearing a t-shirt. Like, that's just dumb.
They're just having a good time on the beach. They couldn't be possibly breaking the law.
Right? It's not like drinking in the sun is actually quite dangerous, especially when you're near a large body of water.
Yeah. I don't recommend that.
But no, that t-shirt was dangerous. Very, very dangerous t-shirt.
T-shirt could have punched a hole in someone's car.
I mean, so could my ex, but like, that's not to a gang bitch.
Too good. Yeah. Anything else you want to say on that one? Other than
FTP, I think FTP is the perfect way to summarize that, but it's also kind of not their fault because they weren't the dumbasses who made that law. So, like, actually, fuck that anymore.
We've let that bill go through, that's for sure. On some positive news, something really exciting that happened.
We love positive.
We already covered it, but Treaty Principles Bill.
Yes. I mean, to be fair, that was just fun. That was just fun.
Shall we watch a little bit of a recap from stuff on the big occasion? Yes. Just to keep it in people's minds. You got till midnight tonight.
More than 300,000 submissions have been made on the Treaty Principles Bill, setting a new record. The Justice Select Committee has unanimously agreed to extend the deadline for submissions until 1 p.m. next Tuesday. It comes after Parliament's website crashed due to an unprecedented number of users making a submission at the same time.
Also, Tuesday tomorrow. This is a week old. First show back. This is a week old. Tuesday tomorrow. Carry on. Where's my
time? Zane Small has the latest.
Tens of thousands marched in Hikoi mo Te Tiriti to protest the Treaty Principles Bill, which, it's now been revealed, has attracted hundreds of thousands of public submissions.
We've had some initial estimates from the committee staff that approximately 300,000 submissions have been received online.
The clerk of the House of Representatives said this appears to be the highest total ever received. The previous record for submissions was just over 100,000 on the Conversion Practices Prohibition legislation bill in 2021. The deadline for the Treaty Principles Bill expired 2 nights ago, but Parliament's Justice Select Committee today unanimously agreed to a new deadline of 1 p.m. on the 14th of January.
What we're happy to do is to recognise that there was a high volume, that some people who may have wanted to submit didn't get the chance to, so we've reopened submissions so that they have that opportunity.
It comes after Parliament's website crashed due to a, quote, unprecedented number of users making submissions at the same time. It meant that some people were unable to submit, and the new deadline means they now can. To give an idea of just how much demand the website was dealing with, on Tuesday alone, more than 150,000 submissions were lodged online. Green MP Tamitha Paul also sits on the Justice Select Committee.
There's obviously a big stuff up, and we need to fix that so that people can have their say.
I think it's a really good thing. Yeah, this is obviously the most important bill that our country will be facing for a while.
The right thing to do is to extend it, so good news.
The Treaty Principles Bill seeks to redefine how Te Tiriti or Waitangi is interpreted in law. In coalition talks, National agreed to support the ACT Party bill at its first reading in Parliament. But Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has vowed not to support it any further.
The bill is bad. It is divisive. It causes disharmony in our community, and it didn't even need to get to the point that it's at.
If you agree with that view or disagree, you have until Tuesday to have your say.
Yeah. And there was a story actually tonight on the Regulatory Standards Bill, which I think would be also really interesting to go through as well. Probably more relevant. Did you have anything else to say on that one, Magenta?
I actually really like this comment that I was reading here. Submissions for the Treaty Principles Bill are over 300k, which means more people have made submissions on the Treaty's Principle Bill than people who voted for ACT. We did it! We did it! I love that. I don't love that ACT having as much of a say as they're having, though. Get your fingers up high, man.
Yeah, I had a thought while I don't know, I guess looking at that 300,000 number is knowing Seymour and how much of a, I hate to say that, he's a really good politician. He's very slimy. He's a very slimy politician, but he knows what he is doing. And there is a good chance that he will go, oh, look, 300,000 people want to have their say on Te Tiriti. Then we must have a referendum because obviously people want their say on this. And I think that's regardless of whether or not they oppose or are in favour. He will say that.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, he doesn't care whether it gets through or not. It's doing what he wanted it to do from the beginning. I think the only thing that actually kind of bums me out is I almost wish we could have gotten a bit more, push for the Regulatory Standards Bill as well, so we can maybe get an extension on that one. Because that's the one that's harder for people to understand. We've got that one, and also, they did the classic thing where they just shoved a bunch of submissions through over the summer holiday period as well, which classic tactical move that they always tend to do.
There was also the Oranga Tamariki one. I didn't quite get my head around it, but what was...
I can show you an image I've got. Someone actually posted it into the Discord, which was...
Good on them. I'm just trying to throw this up from Paula. Yes, Ems. They are talking that way, but the arguments 300,000 people wanted to have their say on the principles bill. We have to be alert to that when it comes up, 100%. They want to spin this in their favour and what they want.
But yeah, this was the over the holidays. They had obviously principles bill, Oranga Tamariki bill, Social Security Act amendment bill, which was our benefit sanctions, the obviously regulatory standards bill, and there is one that we still have a week on, which is the puberty blockers consultation, which if you haven't heard about that one, I recommend looking into it, obviously. That's probably something that we should talk about a bit over the week. I know that I will at least be keen to talk about that by the end of the week, but yeah, definitely.
Yes,
They're
100%.
overloading us, making sure there's... Oh, there was also... there was something they slipped through over the holidays. What was it?
I wonder what it was.
See, this is the thing with this bloody government. They're just doing things left, right, and centre. Like, it was the holidays. I shouldn't have to try to keep up with what they were doing. Like, that just seems ridiculous.
And the really shitty thing is that a lot of people didn't come back till the day after the TTT or the treaty bill was due. So there was no one really to help out with the, to answer questions or help out with the submissions that weren't going through. So that's a bit of a shit move. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's so typical of them.
While you are doing that, I'm just going to throw this one up. Hi, Gareth. Thanks for your $3.49. It's a very specific number. It says, I'm late. Oops, sorry. Well, at least you turned up. Thanks, Gareth. And thanks,
appreciate you coming along for the first week back from the holidays.
Yes, we'll slowly get there. Mr. Arvid says for $2, almost more signatures than ACT voters. It, in fact, is more signatures than ACT voters. I think they got 250, 230, 250, 280 in the last election. It's one of those three numbers. Someone correct me, please.
Yeah,
I don't
close
want
enough.
to spread misinformation. Also, I love this. Gemini says, should we wear KFC patches or McDonald's patches?
Yeah, I love that.
Good point.
I actually love the idea
Good
of everyone
point.
just starting to take the piss. I mean, obviously, I'm not condoning people getting arrested because I'm not allowed to.
God, no.
But, like,
No,
it's funny.
But at what point, I can just imagine like a bunch of cosplayers or like Miku fans that just have like a giant like Miku patch or something on their back that look like game patches,
Or like
and getting arrested.
Can I get a Kuromi patch?
Yes.
We gotta get Sanrio patches. Let's get this going.
Like it wouldn't take much to just the whole thing is stupid. It is a really hard thing to regulate.
Dumb.
Just fucking dumb. Ugh. All right. Last one on this, and it's from today, and I think this is probably more so important to have a chat about. The dangerous, why critics are concerned about the regulatory standards bill. Thanks, Samantha Hayes. Loved your commentary.
Feedback on the regulatory standards bill closes tonight, and critics are urging the public to make a noise and be heard. The proposed government legislation has been slammed as dangerous, with concerns it will entrench ACT Party ideology in the country's constitutional framework. But proponents say there's nothing to worry about. Senior correspondent Lisette Raymer reports.
Forget beach days and barbecue snaps. This summer, TikTok was politic-talking, flooded with talk of bills and submissions.
I knew politics was about being slimy and sneaky, but David Seymour, you've outdone yourself.
What is the regulatory standards bill and why should you care? It's a Trojan horse and we need to be aware.
After the Treaty Principles Bill prompted an unprecedented public response on the streets and informal submissions, the spotlight is now turning to the Regulatory Standards Bill.
This is a big deal.
Which outlines a set of principles which would be used to assess the quality of new laws.
The consultation period has aligned with summer holidays and the Treaty Principles Bill consultation, and New Zealanders really aren't aware of the significance of what is being proposed.
How much the bill will impact your life depends on who you ask. Those in favour say,
probably not a great deal. It's a process thing, a transparency thing.
But those against are warning.
This can effectively put a straitjacket on how governments regulate in the future, and that affects every person's lives in some way.
Professor Jane Kelsey says the ACT Party is prioritising the wrong things in the proposed principles.
It's seeking to impose its ideology on everyone else, and that means private property rights become paramount. It means that social and cultural and economic and treaty become less relevant in the sphere of making law and regulation into the future.
Dr. Bryce Wilkinson helped to form the foundations of an earlier version of the bill and says its main purpose is to increase government accountability, dismissing any talk of it being dangerous.
It's incomprehensible to me. It does not impede parliamentary sovereignty. It does not stop Parliament from passing anything.
The public feedback will inform the final version of the bill, which National has said it will support.
That last line. That very last line, people.
Yes.
What did he say time and time and time again about the treaty principles bill? I will not support it past the first reading. What did they say at the very end of that article? Do I need to play it again? Do I need to do a pat here, do I? Just to
roll the tape.
Inform
Roll
the final
put it back on
version
the
of the
screen.
bill.
Put it back on the screen. Hang on. Can we hear that again?
Yep, roll the tape.
Which National has said it will support.
There you go.
fucking
Which
will.
National said they will support.
Yeah, because they know that one's going to get them more of what they want.
Guess what we haven't been talking about for the last 3 months? This bill.
Did
In
we
fact, I've
even
seen-
know that they said that they were going? I mean, they probably did. To be
No,
fair,
that's the first I've heard of that.
So I'm just trying to think. I'm also not saying they didn't though, because I feel like it's just it's that overwhelming, fucking like this comment here was talking. It's the shock doctrine. They're just blasting so many different things. I'm like, did they? Didn't they? Because they say a lot of crap. And what I'd say to you is, I've kind of forgotten sometimes. Like,
oh no, I haven't heard that for a while. Oh, it took the wind out of me, that one.
Sorry
Oh,
to trigger you for the first time this year.
Didn't need to hear that.
I'm sorry. You went 13 days this year without hearing that. So
what I would say to you is that I will support this bill. So yeah, you should be concerned. You should be very concerned about this bill.
We might have to march again. I mean,
honestly, I think it's like every day at this point.
Yeah, you know what? I can use the exercise. I'll go for a walk. You know? Take me for a walk. I'll go down the road. Jesus Christ.
I just want to. It's just because I was going through the comments. I feel I love this name, by the way. So something you guys may not know, we actually see every comment that comes from all the different platforms we're currently live on. So that's YouTube and Twitch, and I think it's also X and Facebook. And we can see where you're coming from as well. I just want to say I think this is probably the first Twitch comments I've seen. Stink Fizz. I don't know what your agenda is. I think you're at our side. I love it. We do see you over there on Twitch.
Yeah.
So we do see
I
your
have
comments.
seen a couple of Twitch comments every now and then.
Yeah.
But,
so
I mean, that's
don't feel like
beautiful.
we're leaving you behind. But thanks for saying, that our government sucks. We don't want it to suck.
I would like a good government. It would be nice to have actually, honestly, I don't even need a good government. I just need an average, mediocre government. That's all I need.
Yeah, like I want like Trudeau government early on where it was just kind of okay and there was some good things happening and like there were some not like it was average,
like the beginning of Trudeau, not like now Trudeau.
Yeah, no. That's
Just
forget
4
the
years
now Trudeau. Like everyone was like, "Hey, cool, Trudeau's cool," and then he had all his very awkward controversies. But like kind of that nice no one really cared about Canada period, you know? Maybe it was even like the pre-Trudeau period where it was just kind of like, Canada's all right, right?
Just
I
like
don't
a
know. I don't know enough about
non-nefarious
governments.
government. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I just want a government
Can we
that
have-
doesn't try to fuck it
yeah.
too badly. Like, at
I
least
like
get
pointing
a
the
C
finger at
grade.
Australia.
Right? How is Australia doing better than us right now, guys?
I know.
We're usually laughing because they're voting in a new prime minister or something because they're
Yeah,
always
for what, the
doing
sixth time in a term or something?
Can't we go back to that?
That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I was enjoying that.
No, so was I.
Speaking of Australia, something I have noticed, NZ Herald have done multiple stories about people moving over to Australia.
Yeah, I've
They
been
seem
getting
to be really
bombarded.
pushing that narrative pretty hard of like,
yeah, they're really
this
like,
is what this person's like earning in Sydney. This is what this family's now experienced when they took up this opportunity.
yeah, it's not
like,
just them
NZ
either. I think I saw
being
like
paid
Re
by
News.
someone.
I think I saw Re News doing like, why are all my friends like, why is a new friend moving to Australia every week? You know, there's been everywhere, and I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you can go to Australia where it's like not that much different, the pay's a lot better. You likely got some people you know over there, and it's actually not that hard to come home for a visit. Like, there's not a lot of cons for people who can do it. I couldn't because the heat would kill me and I would die, but you know.
Yeah, I'd have to probably go Tasmania or Melbourne South. Maybe Adelaide I could maybe do. But I also can't do big scary creatures. So
Oh yeah, nah. I'd be too scared. Like, my brother sent me a video of this massive snake in his house that he lives in, and I'm like, oh nah, dude. And like the spiders that are waiting for him in the toilet. I can't live with that, eh? I can't live with that. I can't. I would never be able to sit down on the toilet without fear. Or shoes. Apparently, you got to watch out for your shoes. Even.
No,
That's too much stress and anxiety. I think I'll keep my very meek mannered insects and animals and bugs here.
Like,
the worst thing I got to worry about is in the beehive. That's really all I got to worry about. Right
Wasps in the beehive.
Oh, and I guess climate change because I live in a
everyone has to worry about that.
Yeah, that'll be someone else's kid's problem. I'll be dead by then.
Oh shoot! Someone's just also reminded me. Worming, thanks for $2. Remember pay deductions for partial strikes bill. This also came up and concerns me quite a lot.
You got another one?
Yep.
I didn't see that. Wait, or have we talked about this one? Am I just not recognizing the name?
It came up in my blue. Seriously, this is the first show we're talking about every freaking.
See, this is why I stayed away from the news the whole holidays because I knew it was gonna be heaps when we came back. Eh?
Just everything. Pay deductions for partial strikes to be reintroduced thanks to Honourable Brooke Vervelin. Changes to collective bargaining will help rebalance the rights and consequences of industrial action. Workplace Relations and Safety Minister Brooke Vervelin says. A bill to allow for pay deductions in response to partial strikes will be introduced today. Partial strikes are industrial actions that normally involve turning up to work but refusing to partake in key parts of the job. Often it is the public who lose out or are caught in the middle when these partial strikes happen. Intentionally causing disruption to customers or to the employer's output is not only currently a permitted collective bargaining tactic, but employers' options to respond are limited. Currently, if an employee is engaging in a partial strike, their employer cannot deduct their pay unless they suspend the employee or issue a lockout notice. To provide a more effective and efficient bargaining environment, the coalition government is reinstating provisions into the Employment Relations Act to allow for pay deductions in response to partial strikes. Ms. Van Velden says.
So what, they just prefer full strikes always and never ever partial? And also, like, so you're telling me that they're currently making a bunch of cuts, they're not giving people the pay rises they're asking for, and now they're going to punish them for trying to actually fight for that. Fuck
Yeah,
me.
for better.
Fuck
Examples
hell.
of recent partial strikes actions include in August 2024, a hospital-based MRI and nuclear medicine technologist undertook partial strike action, including limits on the number of scans completed each day that resulted in a reduction of around 50% of scans delayed in early cancer treatment, increased in wait lists, increased outsourcing costs, and required additional frontline staff to cover the striking workers' radiology work. Cool, but they should. Okay, yes, the striking is part of it. Like, how are we supposed to get better pay rises if you're not going to give them to us? Then you should be striking for it. If it comes to a strike, it means you haven't come to a deal.
Which is why they're trying to make them not be able to do it.
Exactly, and then they can't do anything about the fact that they're not getting the pay and things that they deserve as government. Is their employer. Teachers undertook strike action in 2023. The partial strike action included refusing to teach certain year groups on particular days, which disrupted student learning and impacted the ability of some parents to work. True, however, they actually did that as a way to limit the disruption to students.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of across the board, they did one day it was just year 9s that had to stay home. One day they did just year 10s had to stay home. Yes, it disrupts the parents, but it also puts it on their radar that their kids' education is important.
And if the teachers are willing to do this, yeah.
It's a last resort. Strike action is the last resort. Like the unions do a lot to negotiate on their behalf. So it's when they don't come to a agreement that they have to strike. Defence Force Public Service Association unions members have been working to rule, and from November they have been taking coordinated breaks and stopped working at heights or off-site. In response, the Minister of Defence has authorised uninformed personnel to cover civilian work in some selected areas. 2024, train operators in Wellington began work to rule industrial action, including refusing shift changes, leading to disruption for travellers.
Well, yeah, because I remember we did cover the
striking does cause disruptions.
The Defence Force having to step in and cover for people. So I do actually vaguely remember some of that, but yeah, I mean, like there was quite a few comments here that just point out some pretty obvious things, like pay deductions for refusing to do overtime. Like that sounds ethical. I need those MRIs, but I need my technicians well paid too. Because
you need technicians to do the MRIs. If they don't want to take up the profession, no one is going to do the MRIs for you.
Also,
it's just going to make the problem worse.
MRI machines are like crazy magic and they do some crazy shit. So like, I want to make sure that when I go in there, the person knows how to use it properly. Because I've seen way too many medical shows where the MRI goes bad and it's scary.
Yeah, no thank you.
And this is how we're getting people to move to Australia. Like, exactly. This is everything they're doing is not only trying to feed what they want in the austerity and the privatization, it's just pushing away our locals and making them go other places. Like, we're going to have a brain drain. Like, our universities are already struggling. And I'm supposed to be graduating. I'm supposed to have my graduation. And most of the people I'm going to be graduating with are either going to be going to Australia or being unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's just going to keep getting worse.
Would you like me to continue this with I don't know if this is a positive or negative. A large proportion of public sector collective agreements are expiring in the first half of next year. Introducing a bill this side of Christmas will set the stage for this government continuing to deliver better public services in 2025.
What?
So
How?
there's a bunch of things about to expire. And so that means they're all going to have to come back to the bargaining table. But the employees are going to have less bargaining power because they're going to need to get paid. So if they strike, they're not going to get paid, which means they have less bargaining power, essentially. The
Or what's the
unions
bit?
can
They're not
just,
even going
the
to
government
rehire
and the
them.
unions can just, that too, but they can
They'll
just keep
probably
going
just hire
back and
someone
forth
to
and back
take
and
it.
forth. And there's no incentive for them to actually continue to move things forward in the way that the unions want on behalf of the government employees. So we're just not going to see anything. You're not going to get the pay rises. They're not going to get the conditions that they want and they need. It's just going to stagnate. So
I don't even
if
know
they
if
do
it'll just
strike,
stagnate. It's going to be negative, I reckon. Like, there's too many things happening in too many areas. Like, actually, there's a really great point here from Worming. It's, cancelled kāinga order builds means builders who were going to have jobs, Sparky, the people who make all of that. There's so many jobs associated, not even just building the houses, but then people administering those. And also we have homelessness issues. So we really needed those. There's just so many ways that these are all affecting every area and going to have so many flow-on effects that we're probably not even going to see the effects of for at least a few years to come.
Yep. Some scary stuff. So that's another bill that you guys should have your say on. Add that to your list. I don't know when that I think it was Worming, was it? I don't know when that one is due, but that won't be too far away, I can imagine. It's probably in January as well, just like everything else.
Yeah. I'll have to go back
can't see
over all
what's-
of the different submission things and make up a new calendar for the year since
30th
sure
of
there's a lot.
January. Midnight 30th
Oh, yep,
of
okay.
January is when that one is due.
Nice. Well, that's good. That gives us a few more weeks to talk about it.
Yeah.
People can let other people know, because I mean,
more
that could
more
affect
exciting stuff.
anyone who's employed, that could affect. So I mean, or even
especially
people who
those
aren't
government
employed.
workers.
Well, yeah, and I mean, we've got a lot
true.
of people facing unemployment at the moment. So and I mean, I can already see people in the chat, talking about who's with me is being frugal as fuck. With this austerity government, they're all going to force us to the same thing because we can't trust them right now. We can't trust that
Honestly,
things will go all right.
The easiest way, and this is such a privileged thing to say, the easiest way to hamper this government is to just not pay your taxes. Easiest way to not pay your taxes, just don't work. Don't have a job. If they want to get paid, they better do a fucking better job. Because if I don't work, I'm not paying any taxes, which means I'm
Although,
actually
to
getting
be
money from the
fair,
government.
Wins has gotten fucking crazy though. I hadn't been on it for a long time, and the last time I was on it was under. Actually, I think I was technically on Wins under John Key and Jacinda Ardern at different periods, and this time is very different. They
Really?
sent me they sent me a letter and said my benefit was cut off before my medical certificate was due. I mean, they have automated systems, and I know that's partially part of it, but also now you're just wasting paper and the postie's time and all of this stuff to send a letter because I'm going to the appointment, the week that it's due, because also you can't get it too early anyway. It's just stupid. And the thing, there's already been, the amount of people I have heard having horror stories at the moment, especially with all the people who've just lost jobs with all of the cuts. It's cooked.
Yeah. Yep.
But also, I love this comment. Who would want to work if you have no rights? So true,
Yeah.
though. Hard to want to work.
If there's no public services that eventually my taxes pay for, what's the point of working? If I'm going to be poor anyways, I might as well be poor and happy.
And even if I do go for a job, there's 300 other people trying to go for it anyway. So
exactly. So your full-time job is looking for a bloody job. It's
I mean, that's what they said they were. That's what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to make unemployment numbers rise to fix it or something. I don't know. That's what they reckon.
Yes. Supposedly you have to let unemployment numbers rise, but as Craig Rennie says, thanks Craig Rennie, 5%, anything above 5% is enforced.
Exactly.
And currently, Wellington has an unemployment rate of 11% thanks to government cuts. So, but that was necessary.
Well, actually, that flows really good into this $5 super chat from Peter Syme. This government is just so bad. You'd think they'd get something right on occasion, but it's like they work at being the worst. And I agree, because, like, it almost feels like they're intentionally trying to speed run. They're doing like a Tory government speed run. That's what it feels like. It feels like they saw their idols.
Are they
Well,
trying
the
to do
idols
better or worse than Liz Truss? What did she do? She lasted less than a cabbage. The cabbage lasted longer.
True. I don't know. They've also had a lot of horrible Tory prime ministers as well, so that doesn't help.
Tell you what. Here's mine. All right. What's a reasonable? Let's say a kumara. How long does a kumara last? Sort of out in the bench.
Depends on the climate.
That's true. What about a David Seymour prime ministership climate?
Oh.
Which one's going to last longer? David Seymour under
See, I don't really
Winston
care which
Peters
lasts
blowing
longer.
shit up.
I just don't want the David Seymour one. That sounds yuck. I'd rather have like curdled milk as my prime minister.
Kumaras last a while. Okay, maybe. Okay, maybe.
Well, yeah, they actually can. And I mean, a fun fact: you'll actually see. You know, I talked about those storage. I think I might have told. Actually, I don't know if I told you about it. You have like storage pits you might see on like old power sites. You can like store a kumara in like basically a ground fridge for like months. It stays all good. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we need to pick a better analogy.
Yeah.
Maybe
David
analogy.
Seymour wishes he was a kumara.
That's risky, Ems. David Seymour is a cockroach, so he can survive a nuclear blast. Can he though? Can he survive a Winston Peters nuclear blast? What's Winston gonna do when he gets knocked out of his deputy prime ministership?
Wow. Yeah, he's been real quiet. He's been real quiet in the passenger seat, eh? Just letting those two like do stuff while he's just motoring along.
He's probably motoring along to try and get us some boats so he can save the day, and then he's going to get re-elected next year.
Wow, yeah, we had no boats. Did you hear? The ferry was cancelled. Yeah. Did you also hear that nearly half of New Zealanders want rail-enabled ferries? Funny that. Saw an article about it. Crazy. Crazy.
That's a shame. Shame we're not getting those.
Like Mr. Arvid says for $2, this government is a life suck. Bro, they suck. And you know what? I couldn't have put it better myself.
Life. All right, let's go through the rest of these super chats.
Get it. All right, we got...
That was... Oh, no.
You go. Oh, you go. Oh. All right. Mr. Arvid's for another $2. Patch a print a KFC patch. Okay. And I mean, I do love the idea of just having like a bunch of knockoff brand patches because they're just tickles.
That would be kind of fun. We get copyright slammed so hard.
Oh,
like a BHN, but in the Disney font, or like BHN and KFC. Can we do a KFC, but instead of Colonel, it's like Pat?
Actually, well, you're the artist, bro. You got to do it, not me.
That's a good point.
Ask yourself. That's not my job. I'm here to foo-foo. You draw.
I foo-foo, you draw.
We already had that one, I believe. This was just a $5 super chat from Defiant Chaos. Hey, another chaos. Nice. I'm keen for another walk back down to Wellington. Yeah, let's have a. You know what? I would love for our next like protest, hikoi, whatever, to actually have like a little BHN section. You know how like you have like a Green Party section sometimes, or like you know, we could have our own little BHN section. Can we get a flag made? Oh, okay. Now we're going to talk about that later. That could be off-air chat. I'm getting excited now.
The flag
and we got a $50 super chat on the first day back from Citizen Gold. Citizen's absolute G. I'm still recovering from COVID, so I'm going to hit the sack. Just want to say it's great to have the live show back. Keep up the good mahi and see you all tomorrow.
Thanks,
I
Citizen.
had the pleasure of seeing Citizen the other week, actually, at one of our Wellington BHN meetups. So
nice.
Good as always. Looked like he'd had a good summer. Got a bit burnt.
It's always a good sign. Though wear your sunscreen, but it's always a good sign of a good summer.
Ems, look at the comment on the screen.
Oh,
Laser Chewie.
like Laser
I need
Chewie.
Laser Chewie. That is the
Chewie,
best idea.
Chewie.
Write it down.
Are you watching? Are you watching? Can you give the okay for that?
Surely Chewie's fine with that. I'm sure he'd love it.
Laser Chewie.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh no, I don't have time to do this stuff, guys. I'm sorry.
No, we'll put it on the list for later. We've got time.
Yeah, someone
We got
put
a
a list
whole
up and
year.
then or someone jump in my spot and see what you can come up with. I'm sure that.
Well,
Is it
actually, yeah, maybe
Kiwi Burb, Kiwi Skirt,
yes,
Kiwi Burb,
Kiwi Burb, Laura. Yes,
Kiwi Burb.
Kiwi
Putting
Burb might who knows? Kiwi Burb might do some magic as well. They got some good
There's some
skills over
talented, very talented people in the
Oh,
chat.
absolutely. And I mean, hey, we gotta keep the ideas listed for later. You know, the merch can keep flowing all year. 2025 could be the year of a lot of fun merch. So I'm sure we've got time.
Speaking of, a little PSA for everyone. Currently, we can't do physical merch, like t-shirts and stuff. However, we can do stickers. So there's still quite a few stickers out and about. There's quite a few stickers ready to go. So if you are keen on a pack, the Buffer sticker, the Nikki No Boats, the Fufu Chewy, or the Boys, you can place an order and you will get it when Pat is ready to send it out. Can't say when that is, but they are printed and ready to go. However, t-shirts at the moment are on pause. So unfortunately, if you didn't get one for Christmas, the Buffer hoodie, and you wanted to wear it for Waitangi Day, there's very little chance that you'll be able to get one, unfortunately. But for those of you who did get a Buffer hoodie, and you are able to go to Waitangi or any kind of Waitangi celebration, and you want to wear one, that's cool.
Hell
Thanks.
yeah. And I mean, it'll be good for people to get stickers so that, like today on Blue Sky, we got tagged because a BHNer found a rogue sticker in the wild, which was awesome.
Yes, I did see that.
In Auckland.
Buffer stickers, you still can as well. Can get buffer stickers.
Yes, Buffer stickers. I need to get some Buffer stickers. They're so good.
Yes.
Kiwi Skirt had them, and actually I think Kiwi Skirt gave away some stickers to someone at the BHN meetup, and I know that I'm pretty sure someone took a sticker and put it in the bathroom at the bar that we were at too. There might have been Gold, actually. I think Gold was going to be putting a sticker somewhere. We've been little vandals going around.
Tut. Oh shoot, that was me. I don't know if you heard that.
I did. I just like
any more
Nikki Korewaka. No, I think that's us for the super chats tonight.
Nice. In that case, I think we're pretty much ready to wrap up.
Yeah.
Any last comments for our first show back?
No, I think the only thing that I might maybe want to mention is just obviously it was really sad to hear about Dame Tariana Turia passing away.
Yes.
It was a bit of a sad one to wake up to. Obviously, you know, she lived a great long while. And so, you know, we got a good time with her, but I think the timing of losing her definitely hit a little different with everything that's been going on. So I think out of all the news that I heard over the holidays, that's the one that really stuck out to me and really just wanted to just end on her, because I think she's done so much for us, and like a lot of us, you know, we wouldn't have a lot of things without her. We wouldn't have Te Pāti Māori, we wouldn't have so much. So I think it was awesome to just see people actually go and, you know, pay homage. Also, I did hear real fun inside knowledge from someone who was at the tangi Tama Portucker was getting yelled at by one of the aunties, or at least a couple of the aunties at the marae. So he's getting in trouble.
Good. Someone whip his butt into reality, into, I don't say, you know what I mean.
So, yeah, it was sad, but at least people were using it to push the submissions, and Tama got in trouble. That's all I needed to know. That's all I needed.
Cool. Oh, yes, thanks for bringing that up, because that was definitely on my list of things that I probably should have brought up tonight as well. But yeah, sad, but
there's been a lot going on, especially with those fires recently.
Yeah.
Moving fast already, and we're not even 2 weeks. Well, we're just about 2 weeks in.
And we're about to have an inauguration next week as well, so let's just get through this weekend.
Actually, you know what? I'm not ready to think about that one yet.
We'll just take this week as long as it takes. It's just as long as it takes.
Yep.
Oh dear. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning up for the first episode of BHN for the year. I hope we filled in the boots, the shoes of Pat and Chewie to our hats. Yep. No, hit. Sorry about that. And we'll see you guys same time tomorrow night. In fact, so for more big hairy news, everyone's favorite.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a war path to run, linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a self and a higher in mind. All heavily either this way or that, and will be analyzed by both Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, tonight's they're gonna sing you to bed. It's big hairy news.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you had a good night. Yeah. Magenta, anything to say before we head off?
Nah. I did see a comment liking the new background. Thanks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was my motivation to reorganize my room over the holidays. So we'll start off brand new, and looking forward to a week full of this, being Chewie.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night. 9 o'clock. Big Hairy News. Catch us later.
Bye.
Bye.